Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and especially little Miss Ivy. I've been thinking how to write a video just for you. Nobody else. It'll come to me. But today's video is the scheduled video that I told you was coming next. The Native Americans. See, I believe those that have presently mingled themselves with the seed of Adam, not that this is the only mingling talked about in the scriptures, hint, hint, but I believe these were a civilization/society of people, meaning different seeds but living inside the earth just like we live on top of the earth. At different times in our history after the flood, different individual nations emerged out of the earth to inhabit on top of the earth alongside the seed of Adam. I believe they came from inside the earth at the uppermost circuit and descended upon the Gentiles, who in turn descended upon the true seed of man in all directions. Surely I don't have to tell you who I think the progenitor is, do I? Of course not. So saying that, allow me to begin sharing with you the reasons I say such preposterous things. Perceptual context. Black people. Black people. Stop acting like Mr. Charlie all the time. What I mean is, even though you can show him in the very same book that he say he believe in, through scripture and the mathematics of scripture fulfillment, he still refused to perceive who you are and where you say you came from. In essence, he's calling all of us liars. And all of our mothers have told us it's not nice to say that. Well, you are doing the exact same thing to the Native Americans. Even though they tell you of their true origins, passed down from ear to mouth, from mouth to ear, and accompanied by elaborate celebrations, you guys essentially call them liars as well. Well, maybe, just maybe, mind you, it's time to start believing what people know about themselves. Take this information for instance. Oh, wait a minute. Oh yeah. Remember, I'm building a case. First I will start off with a couple of shots just to figure out your distance. Then I will blot out the sun with information bombs. You ready? According to Wikipedia under Hollow Earth Hypothesis. Quote, in ancient times, the concept of a subterranean land inside the earth appears in mythology, folklore, and legends. The Agmani Naga tribe of India claims that their ancestors emerged in ancient times from a subterranean land inside the earth. Stop. Who are you to doubt them, black man? Seeing your God took away your heritage. Would this be? Could this be? Why the people of India have written and oral accounts, recited daily, mind you, of when their gods roamed the earth with them. Yep. Complete with illustrations of how their gods flew around in jets, killing each other in dogfights. In fact, tell me what you perceive about this. According to the Oxford Living Dictionary under Naga, N-A-G-A, quote, in Indian mythology, a member of a semi-divine race, part human, part cobra in form, associated with water and sometimes with mythical initiations. Example, is this where the snake charming crap comes from? The answer is yes. Wikipedia is snake charming and be amazed at how they will admit. Well, you know what? According to Wikipedia under snake charming, history, quote, snake charming as it exists today probably originated in India. Hinduism has long held serpents to be sacred. The animals are believed to be related to the Nagas, and many gods are pictured under the protection of the cobra. Indians thus consider the snake charmers to be holy men who were influenced by the gods. Example, well, what do you perceive when you heard the Indians perceive the serpent is related to the Nagas, who admit they are half man, half god that just so happen to believe they came from the center of the earth? I'm just asking. Don't mind me. Let's continue with the original article, please. Are you black Hebrew Israelites ready for this? Again, this is not baptized scribes saying this. This is what they, yes, they believe. Quote, the Taino, T-A-I-N-O, from Cuba, believe their ancestors emerged in ancient times from 2 caves in a mountain underground. Stop. Yep. Aboriginal Puerto Ricans and Cubans. You cats out here proselytizing cave dwellers and subterraneans. They pretty though. I got eyes. Quote, natives of the Thoroughbrand Islands, New Guinea, believe that their ancestors had come from a subterranean land through a cavern hole called Apcula. Mexican folklore also tells of a cave in a mountain 5 miles south of Injunga, and that Mexico is possessed by devilish creatures who came from inside the earth. Stop. And Mexico is still infested with demons. We did a couple of videos on how the Mexican gangs and cops immerse themselves in the black arts. Heck, they have a nationwide celebration for this type crap. But again, all of you guys are calling them liars. Let's continue, please. Listen up. Quote, a Russian legend says the Samoyeds, S-A-M-O-Y-E-D-S, an ancient Siberian tribe, traveled to an underground cavern city to live inside the earth. In Native American mythology, it is said that the ancestors of the Mandan people in ancient times emerged from a subterranean land through a cave at the north side of the Missouri River. Stop. According to Wikipedia, under Mandan, M-A-N-D-A-N, speculation about pre-Columbian European contact. Quote, 18th century reports about characteristics of Mandan lodges, religion, and occasional physical features among tribal members, such as blue eyes and gray eyes, along with lighter color hair, stirred speculation about the possibility of pre-Columbian European contact. Holland had proposed that interbreeding with Norse survivors might explain the blonde Indians among the Mandan on the upper Mississippi River. But in a multidisciplinary study of the Kensington Rune Stones, anthropologist Alice Beck Corn dismissed as tangential, which means hardly touching the matter, to the rune stone issue, this and other historical references suggesting pre-Columbian contact with outsiders, such as the Hunka, which is the Winnebago story about an ancestral hero, which is Redhorn, and his encounter with red-haired giants. Archaeologist Ken Fetter has stated that none of the material evidence that would be expected from a Viking presence in and travel through the American Midwest exist. Example. So we got American and Canadian Indians with blonde hair and white skin who hadn't come in contact with outsiders, whose oral tradition, meaning passed down generation to generation by mouth, is that they came from inside the earth. This can only mean the exact same thing was going on in the Americas as well as the seed of Adam's territory. Fighting giants with red hair, huh? Would this be? Could this be? The reasons why there are so many different races of redskins? Let's continue, please. Quote, there is also a tale about a tunnel in the San Carlos Apache Indian Reservation in Arizona, near Cedar Creek, which is said to lead inside the earth to a land inhabited by a mysterious tribe. It is also the belief of the tribes of the Iroquois, I-R-O-Q-U-O-I-S. I have no idea. Iroquois. I'll just say that. That their ancient ancestors emerged from a subterranean world inside the earth. Stop. No, not about the Apache stuff. Everybody knows about that already. I want to touch on the other major redskin powerhouse for a minute. See, it seems Seems, mind you, this lot has some very interesting similarities to the subject of our overall theory. Do me a favor. Close your eyes real tight and bring into remembrance everything we have discovered thus far. Now, listen to this and tell me what you think in the comment section, please. According to Wikipedia under Iroquois, Iroquois, quote, the Iroquois are a historically powerful Northeast Native American confederacy. They were known during the colonial years to the French as the Iroquois League and later as the Iroquois Confederacy, and to the English as the Five Nations and later as the Six Nations, comprising the Mohawk, something else, Kangonya, the Seneca, and the something else people. The Iroquois have absorbed many other peoples into their culture as a result of warfare, adoption of captives, and by offering shelter to displaced peoples. The historic Erie, the something else, and the Huron and St. Lawrence Iroquois, all independent peoples, spoke Iroquois languages. Listen up. In the larger sense of linguistic families, they are often considered Iroquois people because of their similar languages and cultures, all culturally and linguistically descended from the Proto-Iroquois people and language. However, they were traditionally enemies of the nations of the Iroquois League. Example. You can open your eyes now. Allow me to ask you a question, gentle strangers. What did you perceive when you heard that? I perceived the Hun lifestyle, plain and simple. Yep. A mighty league of different peoples of the same linguistic and racial lineage living in the uppermost part of Canada all the way down to the upper North America, mingling themselves with many other peoples. But I know I have a hyperactive imagination sometimes. Let's continue with the original article, please. Quote, the elders of the Hopi people believe that a Sipapu interest in the Grand Canyon exists which leads to the underworld. Listen up, listen up. Brazilian Indians who live alongside the Palmera River in Brazil claim that their forefathers emerged in ancient times from an underground land, and that many of their ancestors still remain inside the earth. Stop. According to Wikipedia under Indigenous people in Brazil, under origins. Quote, questions about the original settlements of the Americas have produced a number of hypothetical models. The origins of these indigenous peoples are still a matter of dispute among archaeologists. Okay, under migrations into the continent. Anthropologists and genetic. What? And genetic evidence indicates that most Amerindian people descended from migrant people from North Asia, Siberia, who entered the Americas across the Bering Strait or along the west coast of North America in at least 3 separate ways. In Brazil particularly, most native tribes who were living in the land by 1500 are thought to be descended from the first Siberian wave of migrants. Stop. Bingo. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, archaeologists and genetics, not baptize a scribe, but archaeologists and genetics prove most of the people we call Indians are descended from the exact same people we are discovering in our theory. Allow me to ask you another question, gentle strangers. What would actuarial science, the law of compound probability, the odds of people separated by 2 continents, sometimes 3, and 2 oceans share the same bloodline and creation story and it not be true? What? You don't believe in that genetic story, you say? Okay, let's continue, please. Quote, another study focused on the mtDNA, that which is inherited only through the maternal line, revealed that the indigenous people of the Americas have their maternal ancestry traced back to a few founding lineages from East Asia, which would have arrived via the Bering Strait. Stop. They keep saying Bering Strait, but I don't believe in the Bering. Well, it could be, but I don't believe in the Bering Strait. But it could be. Same thing. No big deal. But they keep saying it, but I haven't. You know my theory. Stop. What? You don't believe in genetics at all now, huh? Okay, let's continue. Quote, linguistic studies have backed up genetic studies, with ancient patterns having been found between the languages spoken in Siberia and those spoken in the Americas. Stop. Are you finished doubting and calling the Redskins lies to their face yet? As in my theory, the Huns were either living or were launched from the uppermost parts of the north and pushed down in all directions. Now we have unquestionable proof through DNA, linguistics, and culture that people on this side of the globe are the direct descendants to the people on that side of the globe. New people, that is. But wait! Both groups of people confirm they come from inside the earth. But that's not all, brothers. That's not all, sisters. Quote, two 2015 autosomal DNA genetic studies confirmed the Siberian origins of the natives of Americas. However, an ancient signal, what? An ancient signal of shared ancestry with the natives of Australia and Malaysia was detected among the natives of the Amazon region. Stop. Bingo. All of these people are from the same root stock of fallen high holy ones. And just like the archaeological evidence concludes, they came out of the earth in at least 3 waves. But let's continue for more evidence, shall we? Quote, ancestors of the Incas supposedly came from underground caves which are located east of Cuzco, Peru. Example, yet another high-powered, high-profile red-skinned people who believe in their hearts, minds, souls, and their celebrated oral ancestry history. They came from inside the earth. But I know. I'm colored. And a liberal Wikipedia using colored at that. I got that. That is why I looked this up for you. According to Native American Myths and Mysteries. Author Vincent H. Gaddis. Quote, Mandans of the northwestern states, some of whom had blue eyes and silky hair, were almost wiped out by smallpox in 1830, with the survivors being forcibly incorporated into the Ricari tribe. Their legend was linked with the Great Deluge. They said the first men to emerge from the tunnels were the hippos, or the tattooed ones. Having left safety too soon, they perished. The rest, who remained below, waited until bright light dispelled the darkness on the surface. They found that the destruction was over, but the world above was uninhabited. Each spring, the Mandans had a dance celebrating their deliverance from the flood. Stop. So, they can account to the same destruction story our scriptures attest to, and celebrated each spring. Yet, you people spit in their faces and call them liars when they tell you the rest of their history. You uncouth hypocrites. Let's continue, please. Quote, the Apaches have a legend that their remote ancestors came from a large island in the East Sea where there were great buildings and ports for ships. The fire dragon arose, and their ancestors had to flee to mountains far to the south. Later, they were forced to take refuge in immense and ancient tunnels through which they wandered for years, carrying seed and fruit plants. Stop. The fire dragon, huh? I'm thinking they're talking about a volcano. That lines up with scripture, though. And an island to the east. Huh. That lines up to the scripture, too. Let's continue, please. Quote, but it is in the South, in Central, and especially South America that the tales of underground passageways and caverns are the most widespread. Myths say that the Voltans, who came from the east, were kings of the snake totem people, a people of the great cataclysm, who through tremendous Atlantean tunnels journeyed to Central America in a very remote time. Stop. Perceptual context. I want you to start looking at the information from the other side of the spectrum for just a minute. What I mean is, think about it from everyone that is not the seed of Adam and what their God must have said to them. You get it? Okay. According to Wikipedia under Votan, quote, which is Votan. According to Francisco Javier Clavero, F. Nunez de la Vega, Bishop of Chapa, says in the preface of his synodal constitution that in the visit which he made to his diocese towards the end of the last century, it's talking about the 1600s, he found many ancient calendars of the Chipanese and an old manuscript in the language of that country made by the Indians themselves, in which it was said, according to their ancient traditions, that a certain person named Votan was present at that great building which was made by order of his uncle in order to mount up to heaven, that then every people was given its language, and that Votan himself was charged by God to make the division of the lands of Anahuac, which is Mexico. Stop. Whether you believe them or not, does this story sound familiar to you? Who do you think Votan and his uncle is? If that didn't grab you, listen up. I'm going to try to let the beat rock so you can get the full flavor of what's being conveyed. Quote, the prelates added afterwards that there was in his time in Teopica a great settlement of that diocese, a family of the surname of Votan, who were the reputed descendants of that ancient populator. In his accounts, Bishop Nunez de Vega also states that Votan belonged to the royal lineage of Cham, C-H-A-M, probably Chan, C-H-A-N, or Snake, and that he established a kingdom called Nachan, Snake House, on the Sankana River that eventually extended across Chiapas and Soconacos to the Pacific coast. Stop. Before you guys start thinking it's talking about hams, people, because I know that you do, wait a minute. Let's continue. Quote, additional information can be found in a 1786 publication by Antonio Del Rey that cites the same sources as Clavero and speculates at length on Votan's identity and travels to the old world, talking about Middle East. Talking about inside the earth. Listen. Fantastic details describes Votan's 4 trips back to the Middle East. In the late 17th century, 200 Tzeltal families of Votan's ancestry are said to have been living in Kamatelan. Assertions of a relationship between Votan and Udin is found in the work of the distinguished geographer Alexander von Humboldt, who wrote in some type of thing in 1810, personal quote, we have fixed the special attention of our readers upon this Wotan or Wudan, an American who appears in the same family with the Woods or Udens of the Goths and of the people of Celtic origins. Listen up. Quote, since, according to the learned researches of Sir William Jones, Udin and Buddha are probably the same persons. It is curious to see the names of Bondvar, Wodansdag, and Votan designating in India, Scandinavia, and in Mexico the day of a brief period. Example. Question, gentle strangers. What did you perceive when you heard all of that? I perceived the angelic and Nephilim evildoers did exactly what I would have done when I saw destruction on the horizon. You know, move my children to a safe place. At this point, the evildoers simply did a Hillary Clinton. You know, let no situation go to waste. Meaning, they simply told their seed they were the children of Noah, and God told them to relocate them. Why do this, you ask? So when it's crunch time, now, they could use this pseudo-history to fool the very elect, the black Hebrew Israelites. Everyone else are just pawns in the game. We know a pseudo-history because the blood don't lie. DNA proves who they are. And those 4 trips to the Middle East was to get instructions from the godlike entities of the Hun civilizations. And as we all see in onomastics, a field which touches on linguistics, history, anthropology, sociology, psychology, and much, much more, these cats were white with beards and are associated with the Gentile Goths. You know them, right? The land the Huns conquered coming into this earth circuit from the west. Let's continue with the original article, please. Quote, myths say that the Votans, who came from the east, were kings of the snake totem people, a people of the great cataclysm, who through tremendous Atlantean tunnels journeyed to Central America in a very remote time. Personal quote. Before the time of the Great Flood, says the Zapocac sages of Old Mexico, quote, we lived in cave cities. Our forefathers came out of the caves of the underworld where it was crowded. What? Our forefathers came out of the caves of the underworld where it was crowded. Stop. Bingo. So as you can see, many of them always lived under the earth and came out where it was already crowded. That can only mean my theory is getting tougher and tougher for you to dispute. But let's continue, please. Perceptual context. There is nothing new under the sun. What I mean is, remember the video on Daniel chapter 7? You remember, don't you? Where Uncle Daniel was shown 4 beasts that troubled him. So Uncle Daniel, quote, and I drew near to one of them that stood by, and I sought to learn of him the truth of all these things. And he told me the truth and made known to me the interpretation of the things. These 4 beasts are 4 kingdoms that shall rise up on the earth, which shall be taken away, and the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess it forever and ever. You remember now, right? Well, remember when I said I thought each beast were the gods that particular kingdom followed? I used the examples of the Hindus going under many gods, the Buddhists under the fat guy, and America was first under the authority of little white baby Jesus, that grew up to colorless Jesus. But flag-waving, whoop-ass Jesus has kicked in the door of your hearts, turned over the table of tolerance, and pistol whipped the hell out of colorless Jesus. America! Love it or leave it, buddy. My bad. My bad. The self-appointed honorary white man just came out. Well, comes to find out, I might not be all wrong. Let's continue with the article, shall we? Quote, our forefathers came out of the caves of the underworld where it was crowded. They came out by tribes, each led by the spirit of its own animal totem. Stop! Let me read that again. Our fathers came out of the caves of the underworld where it was crowded. They came out by tribes, each led by the spirit of its own animal totem. Stop. Bingo. Again, there is nothing new under the sun, people. I have more, but I guess I will hold it in reserve for the wise guys, black Hebrew Israelites. Or Ben, I don't mind you disputing my theories. Just be right. Thank you for looking at this video. My God's will, look for the next.